Bill's Place Outdoor Power Equipment here today. We have a Timemaster model 21199. Serial number starts with 407. It is 3 years, 5 months old, just out of warranty. We've got a bad brake arm assembly, which is causing the belt to shred. This particular Timemaster cuts about a half an acre every week on a hill. So it's lived a pretty tough life. Okay, what we've got here is the Timemaster disassembled, and we can now look at the parts we need and how they're worn out. So what we're going to need is this part number here, 133-8158. That includes the brake arm, the cable, zip ties, instructions on how to put it all together. We're also going to need 2 of these 121-2305 little fiber washers. And we're going to need this spacer here, 138-3244. And let's show everyone as you can see here, the hole in the brake arm has gotten much larger than it's supposed to be. That combined with the spacer being worn out, riding up inside that hole, it causes the belt to become loose and constantly burn, and you can just never ever get it tight enough to keep it from burning. So we're going to replace that brake arm. We're going to replace these worn out washers here, these friction washers. They're made from a composite material. As you can see, they get very worn out with time. We're going to put everything back together here. This little rubber piece that comes in this kit here goes on this brake arm right there. That's to keep it from making noise. It goes on just like that. If you can see that bolt hanging down, that's where that brake arm is going to go. We're going to remove this pulley off here, and we're going to put this pulley on the new brake arm. This is how it goes together. We've got a friction washer, spacer, that goes in there, that goes on there, and that goes on there. So it should look like that. We have it all together. So that's how everything goes together, and then we're going to put it up inside here. Getting that out of the way. Not a hard thing to do. Should have it on. These gas caps are prone to leaking, so I've shoved a rubber glove inside of it to keep it from leaking all over the place when I tilt it over. You can see now with that rubber glove shoved inside of there, it cannot leak fuel out. So now you can see I've got that brake arm with the fiber washers and the spacer up on that bolt, and we'll put the nut on it. Okay, we got that tightened down real good. Almost forgot, we're going to need the PTO belt or the blade engagement belt, part number 1215765. We had to take that transmission belt off so we could get the other belt on first. We need to loosen an engine bolt or pull one out so that we can get this blue belt on here. We're going to put a little bit of red Loctite on here. Now we can put our transmission belt back on. In order to make this transmission belt easier to go on, I took off the spring. Now we've got the transmission belt back on. We've got the blade engagement belt on up top. We'll flip it down so you can see it. We need to take this belt card off so that we can finish putting the blue belt on. Okay, now we've got the belt guard back on. Okay, the last thing we have to do under here is put the spring on. And now you can see the spring on there. Now that spring does not put tension on the belt. That takes tension off of the belt when it is disengaged. I have seen people selling a different spring for that online. That will not tighten your belt. That'll actually make your belt harder to get tightened because you'll be fighting that spring in order to tighten it. Now we're gonna have to remove this cable. And it's already been taken off the frame right here. And there's just another mount right here. And then it just threads up through the handle. Then it just threads up through the handle until it reaches the bail right up there. We only had to take this one loose to get it out of the way. We'll have to cut a zip tie here. And now we can pull this cable out of here. You can pull this mount off so that you can then pull the cable through. You'll have to take loose the switch up at the top of the handle there. As you can see, you don't have to take the switch completely out, just underneath that. You'll have to remove that push nut. Now, once you've taken this push nut off here, you can pull this cable off. And the trick to getting this out is to raise it up 90 degrees. And then it'll pull right out of there. We'll put the new one back in and then rotate it down. And back into that little clip. Back into the clip, back through the hole, and then we'll tighten that back down. Now we'll reroute the cable back just like it was before. We'll put this little clip back in the handle. Reroute it behind there. Last part is to put the cable on. Goes on just like that. We'll put a zip tie back on right here. Now our zip tie's on. Zip tie's back on with all the cables attached. As you can see now, the belt is good and tight with the cable engaged. Not a lot of looseness at all. And we're gonna put this push nut on real quick. Belt cover back on. long bolt goes in this hole right here. And that wraps up that Timemaster. Don't forget to put the final zip tie on right here. Bend that out of the way.